Erev Tov, we're here in the weekly class of the Dvar Malchus, and of course, first and foremost, we'd like to go into have this class in the merit of the immediate triumph and victory of our soldiers and all the security forces all over the world that are looking out for the Jewish nation, and for the immediately healing of all the injured, Rahman al-Islam, and all those that are in captivity still, all those that are still in the hands of the Hamas Yimach Shmam Zichram. They should be immediately brought back in a healthy and safe state. And the main thing is that our study should bring the Derech HaYeshara. The Rebbe says this is the direct and immediate way to bring about the coming of Mashiach Tzidkenu. It should be Teichef Umiyad Mamish, 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 on a good and revealed basis, with happiness and joy of the heart, in a manner of peace and tranquility. And the main thing is it should be immediately now. In the Dvar Malchus, we're on the hard copy, we're on page 321. And on the PDF file, we're on page 4. Inside the page, we're on the letter Hey, Eis Hey. And we'll just remind everyone, second. We'll just remind everyone we're in the Dvar Malchus of the portion of Truma, which is a compilation of the nights of Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Shabbos Kodesh, the Farbringen of Shabbos Kodesh. The Rebbe in Ois Hey says as follows: the explanation, we raised many questions from last week. We won't go through the questions right now, but when we go through the answers, we'll be able to see the previous questions as well. And the Rebbe says the explanation in the previous questions as follows: the commandment to go into to build and erect the tabernacle, the sanctuary, it comes immediately after the Torah was given at Har Sinai, and as a continuation to the giving of the Torah. She'az nifal, for there was activated ubanu bacharta mikol am v'loshem, for you have chosen us from all nations and all tongues. Bechiras HaKadosh Baruch Hu bechol echad ve'echad miYisrael, the choosing of the Holy One, blessed be He, in each and every Jewish individual, the dafka beguf haYehudi, and this is specifically the bodies of the Jewish individuals. Shegam b'yoseh neshama beguf, for as we are a soul in a body, Gashmi, a material body, ba'ilam hazeh Gashmi, in this material world, yiyeh mamleches kehanim v'goy kadosh, we will be, and we are, a nation of priests, kohanim, and a holy nation. And as known that until the giving of the Torah at Har Sinai, there was a decree that the heavenly realms shall not descend to the material realm, and the material realm should not ascend to the heavenly realms. And when the Torah was given, nasa bitul agzera, there was this decree was annulled. Ubnei Yisrael, and the children of Israel, as we are found in the material realm, for we are truly, always, constantly in a situation, in a state of the Elyonim, the heavenly state. As far as, we didn't have Yaakov for a long time, of Yaakov Richmond. As far as our chelik elikam imal, our part of Hashem that comes from above, literally, is concerned. Sheha'etzem kishata tefes bechelke ato tefes bekulei. For when we are holding any etzem, any entity, when we are grabbing hold of part of this entity, whatever it might be that we're holding, it's considered as though we are actually holding the entire entity. So therefore, Yisrael v'kutrabrichu kol echad. Therefore, the Jewish nation and the Holy One, blessed be He, are all one, because despite the fact that each and every one of us only has chelik elika mimal mamash, only a portion of the heavenly of the heavenly Hashem from above, the fact of the matter is that when we are holding a portion, a small portion, doesn't make a difference what portion, it's as though we are actually grabbing a hold of the entire entity of Hashem. And this makes what we just quoted, Yisrael v'kutrabrichu kol echad, the Jewish nation and the Holy One, blessed be He, are truly united and one. Mimatan Torah va'elach, from the giving of the Torah onward, the Rebbe says, mitziusei shel kol echad ve'echad miYisrael, the existence of every single Jewish individual, he shemibli habet al chitzoniyosei, is without looking at the external facets. Harei afal pi shechoto Yisrael, we see that even though the Jew might have sinned, he remains a Jew. And that goes for each and every one of us. Despite the fact that we might have committed whatever crimes we might have committed, we still remain a Jew. Yesh lo nekudas hayadus. Each and every one of us has the phrase is the pinta leyid, but the translation is the point of Judaism. Shemitzad ze einenu reitze ve'einenu yochol isnatek chas v'shol melukus. For as far as this point of Judaism, this part of Hashem, a Jew does not want and does not have the ability to disconnect from God Hashemliness, chas v'shol. Ukepsak din Rambam, and we see that we have a direct connection, correlation with the day, as we mentioned earlier, the day of Chof Tevis, which was today, the 20th of Tevis, the day of the Hilulah, the wedding, as it is in Aramaic, but it's the day of the passing, as it's coined. The phrase is coined for the passing of a tzaddik. The Rambam says, and this was today, 20th of Tevet. The Rambam says, and he brings as a psak din in his book of law, that the true desire, the true will of each and every Jew, each and every individual Jew amongst the Jewish nation, is to observe the will of Hashem. And the fact that sometimes we see that it's otherwise, that it seems to be otherwise. This is only on the external facet. And it's as far as, and this is due to the fact that that's the evil inclination that went and attacked us at that point and overcame us, and we didn't stand up to the temptation, and we did whatever we might have done. But the fact of the matter is, internally, in the pnimius, in the inner essence of every single Jew, a Jew does not want and cannot disconnect from Hashem. Yeser mizu, furthermore, afilu Yehudi kazeh she'oiches adayin ba'aveda shalei lishma, even such a Jew that is still at the level of serving Hashem, but not for the sake of serving Hashem. We serve Hashem, but we do it with ulterior reasoning, not purely to serve Hashem. Maybe Rambam, the Maimonides brings Maimer Chazal, the saying of our rabbis of blessed memory, Shele'olam yasek odom batera va'afilu shaloi lishma A person should always deal and study the Torah and even if it's shalei lishma, even if it's in a manner that it is not for the pure sake of fulfilling Hashem's command of studying Torah. Why? Because through the study of leilishma, through the study of the Torah, which is not purely for the observance of the command of Hashem, ba lishma, we will ultimately come to the level of which we will be studying the Torah for the pure reason of the commandment of Hashem. And furthermore, Rambam continues and says, when we have the opportunity, and we are teaching women, we are teaching children Torah, uklal amei haaretz, and in general, all those that are not on the level of pure Torah study, people that are simpletons. I guess we can include ourselves, or at least I can include myself. We do not teach them these above mentioned children, women, and the simple amcha, the simple people of the nation, which are the majority of the nation for the meantime. We don't teach them the Torah other than through yirah. Yirah is through fear or through the acknowledgement of the reverence of Hashem, but it's literally through fear. Until they get wiser, and they will be then they will be smarter, etc. And then afterwards, we teach them to study the Torah out of love for Hashem, and not only fear from Hashem, that the chas v'sholom Hashem, he goes and he judges and he punishes, but we'll be able to go and to study Hashem, we'll study the Torah through the reverence that we will acknowledge the greatness of Hashem. And we exercise and we get them used to, etc., this type of study. Until the point that they will be able to grasp, and they will be able to know, and they will be able to serve Hashem out of love, without the ulterior reasoning that we were mentioning before, and without the fear of punishment. And what is the reason behind this? What is the reason behind this type of system? Because through the fact that we will be studying the Torah, even if it's not for the sole purpose of the commandment of Hashem, but it's out of fear, like we said before, that we shouldn't be punished. The inner essence of the service of every single Jew, even when it's still at the low level of shalei lishma, not for the pure reason of serving Hashem, tachtenim, and this is the lower, the mundane world. He lishma is for the purpose of serving Hashem without ulterior reasons, just for the pure purpose of studying Torah to fulfill Hashem's desire, to fulfill Hashem's commandment. And this is what the Rebbe explains here, the Maimer Chazal, the saying of our rabbis of blessed memory, that through mitoich can be translated mitoich, through, in our context originally, but it can also be translated that the mitoich, the inner bitocho, within it, within each and every Jew. Yeah, like it says, "Ve'asuli migdash v'shachanti b'seicham." They will make for me a sanctuary, and I will dwell within them. The inner essence of every single Jew truly is lishma, is truly to serve Hashem and to study the Torah for what, with no ulterior reasons, just for the pure purpose of fulfilling Hashem's desire, Hashem's commandment, Hashem's will. Al pi ze muvan, according to this, it's understood. How every single Jewish individual, men, women, and children, how they are esatzivui ve'akoyach, how we have the commandment and the empowerment mishkan la'Hashem, to make the sanctuary for the Holy One, blessed be He. We said that one of the questions was, how can we go and we build a sanctuary for Hashem? The commandment is that we have to make it for the sake of Hashem, the name of Hashem. But we're not on the level that we're able to go and to build a sanctuary just for the sole reason of Hashem's commandment to make for Him a dwelling place. We have ulterior reasons, everyone on their own level, of course. But everyone is negea badover. Everyone is biased about the fact of fulfilling any mitzvah that Hashem commands us. We have a bias. We're negea badover. Even if it's just the fear that we shouldn't be punished, but it's not a pure service of doing Hashem's will for the sake of serving Hashem. Comes the Rebbe and says, this is the most beautiful concept that the Eibishter brings us and teaches us in the Torah. Despite the fact that the sanctuary has to be built, it has to be erected l'shmi, for the sole purpose of serving Hashem. For through the giving of the Torah, each and every Jewish individual became a brand new entity. We were not what we were before. Such an existence, such a reality, that even though we are a soul in a body down here in this mundane world, without looking at what our level of service is between us and Hashem, in our personal relationship with Hashem, even if this relationship that we are having with Hashem, our service to Hashem, in other words, is on the level of leilishma, not for the sole reason of serving Hashem, not for the pure sole reason, but we have ulterior motives. We have ulterior reasons to commit ourselves to the service of Hashem. We see that the inner essence, the inner core of every single Jew and the actions of every single Jew is lishma. It is for the sole purpose of serving Hashem. Even though externally, apparently, it isn't. L'shem Hashem, for the sake of Hashem. Without any reason or any other concept otherwise. Not for any single sole reason in the world. And not from the fear of the evil, of the punishment that might come if we don't observe Hashem's will. And how much more so is not in order for us to inherit the goodness, the reward that Hashem promises us if we serve Hashem and we commit ourselves to the observance of the mitzvahs. Even then, it sounds to be, externally, what is it that bad? Is it that bad if we're committing ourselves to serving Hashem and observing all the mitzvahs, everything, a beinani, but it's for the sole purpose of what? Of receiving the reward afterwards. Is it that bad? I don't know if it's bad, but it's not lishma. It is not for the sole reason of serving Hashem. And nevertheless, the Rebbe comes and tells us, that the inner essence, the inner core of every single individual Jew is that we commit ourselves and do the truth because it is the truth. And not for any other reason. No ulterior motives, no ulterior reasons in the world. This is what everyone, each and every one of us here tonight, every single Jew in the world is all about. And the Eibishter knows this. And the Eibishter also holds this dearly. And therefore, we have within us the ability to bring about the metzius, the existence of the world, the netherworld, the tachtenim, the Rebbe writes here. We are able to go and to take the material and physical world and make it into holiness, elyonim, which represents the heavenly realms. Ad, to the extent that it becomes dira leizbarach batachtenim, a dwelling place for him, blessed be he, in this netherworld. This is what the tabernacle is all about. This is what the Beis Hamikdash is all about. This is what each and every individual person's home is all about. Mishkan or Mikdash LaHashem, a sanctuary and a temple unto Hashem. Upon which Hashem says, the Holy One, blessed be He, says about this place, that I will dwell within them. That when we go, even though we might be serving Hashem, not with a bias, with ulterior reasons, and it's not for the sole purpose of serving Hashem, that's only externally. It's only on the outside. But that's not what the real Jew is all about. The real Jew is all about serving Hashem because this is the truth, like the Rambam brings before. That we do the truth because it's the truth, without any other reasoning in the world. Vav. Valpiza, so we've basically answered the first one of the questions. How can we build a sanctuary, a tabernacle for Hashem that has to be lishmi, that has to be for the sake of Hashem, if we're not doing everything that we're doing for the sake of Hashem? So it could be that externally we're not doing everything for the sake of Hashem, but in the inner essence of every Jew, everything that we do is for the sake of Hashem. Vov, including the building of the tabernacle, the building of every single person's home, Chabad house, and every single person's home becomes a dwelling place for Hashem. Vov. Al pizi yesh leimar hatam l'chach shezav hu arishon min nidves hamishkan. According to this, we also have to we also need to say the reason that gold is the first of all the contributions to the tabernacle. This was one of the questions. We came to very clear bottom lines that gold shouldn't be the first of all the contributions given to the Mishkan. It should be that which is more common amongst all the Jews, which is either silver or copper, but not gold. So here the Rebbe comes and says, this is the explanation why gold was put first in the commandment in regard to the contributions that are meant to be taken from the Jewish nation to build the tabernacle, to build the Mishkan. When the Holy One, blessed be He, he enumerates the contributions that a Jew needs to bring in the Torah, that a Jew needs to bring. He begins with the gold. For this expresses not the importance of the gold. mitzad atzmei, as far as gold itself is concerned. And we see the Rebbe brought it, and the Rebbe explained it previously, and last week we learned it, that we see that gold has a greater value. Since it's more dear, it has a greater value. Gold in the market is much more expensive than silver or copper. But it's not as far as the individual importance of gold that is concerned. Nothing to do with the contributions of the Jewish nation to the tabernacle. But this expresses as hachashivuse u'ma'alose shel Yehudi, the importance and the virtue of every single Jew. Rishon b'mayla, for that which is first in its virtue. Min chosav, from the property of the Jew, uv'mela min idvasav, and therefore also in the Jew's contributions. What is it? Hu zahav. This is gold. Hadovar yokor v'achoshu b'yoser, that which is the most valuable and the most important from all matters, from all substances, from all metals that are mentioned in the Torah. Sheken mitziusa sheyehudi, for so we know that the existence of a Jew, la'achar matan Torah, after the Torah was given, he kazu, is such that even when we are here in the below, in the material mundane world, that there is a need bibniyas hamishkan, in the building of the tabernacle, gam lekesef u'nechoshes v'chulu. We also have the need for silver and for copper. Ubekomas yoser mizov, and in a quantity which is even greater than what we need from zahav, from gold. Azai l'chol reish hu osher be'etzem, and therefore, first and foremost, the Jewish individual is in one's essence rich. Which reminds me, where did Yaakov Richman go? No. Every single Jew is, in our essence, we are rich. Ben Melech, we are the son of the king. V'yaser mizu, and furthermore, Melech atzmei, each and every one of us is a king. Shemitziusei he, that our existence is ve'elav shayach, and we are also connected to Hadovar hachi yakar, the most valuable essence, the most valuable, that which is most valuable here in this world. What is the most valuable? Zav, gold. And what is the Rashi Tevis? What is the acronym of the word Zahav, gold? Zeh haneisan bori. He who gives is healthy. Haneisan hayehudi, the Jew that gives, the Jew that is giving a contribution, gam kfi shenimtzo lemata, even as we find ourselves here in this mundane world, hu betachlis hashleimus, we are in the most fullest of our completion, the brius of health, begashmius uveruchmius, materially and spiritually. Yesera mizu, and furthermore, noisaf l'chach she'akdomas hazov mevates es ma'alose v'chashivus shel Yehudi. In addition to the fact that when we put the entity of gold first, that expresses the virtue and the importance of every single Jew, bichlal, in general, this also has to do specifically leha'inyan, to the concept that they shall make for me a sanctuary and I will dwell within them. Gufa itself, shekain hakoyach lifel, for the power to act, vasuli migdosh v'shochanti b'seicham, that they will make for me a sanctuary and I will dwell within them. Ba al yedei Yehudi, comes through a Jew. Shegam b'yosel, that even when we are here in this mundane world, hu el yenim, we are actually the spiritual realms. We find ourselves here in this mundane realm, but we are actually, our entity is spiritual, in the spiritual realms. The Dargas Zov, on the level of gold. And that's the reason that we put gold first when Hashem commands us to go and to give the contributions in the tabernacle, in the Mishkan. Because it's not that the gold is so important. It's not as far as itself is concerned. But the Jew is so important. And since the gold it represents that of which is the greatest of importance, so the Jew is expressed in our contributions to the tabernacle to give gold first. When it's only talking about the relationship to the tabernacle, and in the manner of which the children of Israel contributed to the tabernacle, then we see that there is a priority of silver and copper in comparison to gold. For they are more commonly found by the Jewish nation. And they were more needed because they were found and were more needed in the tabernacle itself, in the sanctuary itself. As we learned above. But when we're talking about the children of Israel, that they are the ones that make the entire sanctuary, the tabernacle. Then, when we're talking about the Jew, then gold has priority. Gold comes first. The commandment that Hashem gives us is first enumerating gold, and only afterwards silver and copper. Mikevan Yehudi, the Rebbe says that this is due to the fact that a Jew, even when we are an existence here in this mundane world, we are connected first and foremost lezav, to gold. The Rebbe puts this in the quotation marks. For therefore, since even here in this mundane world, we are at the level of the spiritual realms, this gives us the empowerment to go and to make a sanctuary for Hashem. And therefore, gold comes first in the order of the commandment of the contributions that are meant to be taken from the Jewish nation. The Rebbe continues and says, and we must say, this is also the reason, this is also the reason that in those days, the children of Israel had a great amount of gold and silver in the simple manner of understanding. Why? Because this is a sort of chain reaction from the level and the virtue of the children of Israel. In other words, that's due to the actual inner entity of every single Jew, we are rich, we are wealthy. Beruchnius, spiritually, bedargazov, and therefore spiritually we're on the level of gold. Uvemele mishtalshel mizeh, and therefore there is and comes forth from this gam ashiras begashmius. Gam ashiras begashmius, also wealth, and also we are rich materially. Ribuizov. And how is this richness, how is this wealth expressed? Through the fact that we have an abundant amount of gold. And according to this, it is also going to be sweetened. The reasoning behind the fact that in the portion of Vayakel, in which is spoken about the actual contributions that the Jewish nation gives to the Mishkan for the sake of the Mishkan, v'nidros hakesef u'nechoishes bebeis psukim nifrodim. The Torah itself divides the contribution of gold, and then later the contribution of silver and copper in two separate verses, two individual separate verses. Like it states, "Vayavayu ha'anoshim al anoshim," and the men came upon the women. In other words, together with the women, and the women brought even more than the men. Kol nodiv lev heviu choch gamer. Every single person that was generous, that had a generous heart, brought the different tachshitim, the different jewelry that was needed, that was made from different metals, and first and foremost gold. Kol klei zahav, all the vessels of gold, and every single individual that brought forth the contribution of gold for the sake of Hashem. And two verses after what we just read, with the protrusion of the contributions of techelis, the different colors that were brought in order to color the threads of flax. Kol meirim trumas kesef u'nechoishes gamer. Then comes the verse, all those that brought forth the contribution of silver and copper. Two verses afterwards, separate verses, individual separate verses. That which speaks about the contribution of gold, and that which speaks about the contributions of silver and copper. Kefisha Ramban Mevar, as the Rabbi Moshe ben Nachmanides explains, Ba'avur shehizkir shem hanoshim, since the Torah mentions the women over there, ve'ein lahem kesef u'nechoishes, and the women don't have silver and copper, usually. Rak hazov b'tachshitim gomer. But what are their jewelry made out of? The women's jewelry is basically made out of gold. It's not like today that we give our wives also jewelry made from silver. But then the major jewelry that women had was all gold, pure gold. Because gold is a different type when it comes to the quality of the contribution. As compared to silver and copper, and the other contributions that were given to the Mishkan. Gold represents the shleimus, the completion of every single Jewish individual. This is what gold is all about. Anoshim v'noshim, men and women. V'yesh leimar, and we must say, Shalochen hayazov etzel shneim. Therefore, this is the reason that gold was found by both the men and the women. Afilu etzel eile noshim, even by those women, shelo haya lehem kesef u'nechoishes, that did not have in their possessions the silver or the copper. From this we see that this is the common denominator of the true level, the true service of the Jew, which is the greatest of importance spiritually, which is parallel to that which is the greatest of importance materially. What is the greatest of importance materially? Gold. And therefore the gold expresses the highest level, which is represented by the Jew. That even when the Jew is a soul in a body, not in the heavenly realms, but here in the mundane physical world, we are still on the level of zahav. We are still on the level of gold. We are still spiritually on the level of that which is the most important and that which is the most valuable, gold. And this is also the way that we serve Hashem. Like we said, the Rosh Tevis the abbreviation of the word gold in Hebrew, Zahav, Ze Hanesen Bori. This represents the Jew who initially doesn't fall sick, doesn't become sick. Why? Because we initially make sure to give charity, to give tzedakah. It doesn't mean that person that wasn't giving tzedakah it was at fault. But if chas v'sholom, a person we find ourselves in this terrible situation of peril that we're finding ourselves already for beyond 2 months. We're in this terrible war, the terrible battle for our existence. So one of the main things that the Rebbe says, and this is the main thing that the Rebbe mentions, not only to add in Torah study, not only to add in prayer and in the recitation of chapters of Tehillim, of Psalms, of David, but especially to go and to add in our giving of tzedakah, and how much more so if we can do it in a public manner, that each and every one of us, we get all together, and when we are together at the end of davening, for instance, so we say the chapters of Tehillim, and we also give tzedakah, we give charity, and at a time of peril like we find ourselves now, it clearly states in halacha, in the Jewish law, that even though usually we don't give tzedakah at night, unless there is an individual that is collecting tzedakah, a gabbai tzedakah, usually we don't put tzedakah in a pushka by night, because by night there is the concept of gevura, of might, and tzedakah represents the concept of chesed. And also we don't recite Tehillim by night, usually. But why? Because this is the concept of chesed again, and by night we don't want the gevura to have a yenika to receive its power from the recitation of our Tehillim. Nevertheless, at times of peril, times of a state of danger, so we recite Tehillim by night, and we also give tzedakah by night. And since we already mentioned this, so it would be a good idea, and I would like to propose that here and now, at the end of our shir, we will say at least one chapter of Tehillim, chapter Chof, chapter 20, and we'll get a tzedakah pushka to give tzedakah together in order to go and to overcome all the terrible nisyonos, the terrible challenges that we stand up against here and now at this time. And especially in order to go into hail and to bring faster and bring the immediately coming of the Rebbe and the revelation of the Rebbe Shlitah Melech HaMoshiach, and on a good and revealed basis. Yechi Adonenu Moreinu v'Rabbeinu HaMelech HaMoshiach Le'olam Voed. First we'll start with the recitation of chapter Chof, chapter 20 in Tehillim. Whoever needs to get a siddur or a Tehillim book, though now is a good opportunity, and we'll get together to say Tehillim. And everyone can organize for themselves a tzedakah pushka, so that immediately after this recitation of Tehillim, we'll be able to give tzedakah. Perek Chof in Sefer Tehillim. Everyone is invited to join in together. Lamanatseach mizmer leDavid, Yancho Adinoi b'yom tzara, Yisagevcho Shem Elohei Yankev, Yishlach Ezrecha mikedesh umitzion yisodeka, Yizker kol minchosecha ve'eloscha yedashne sela, Yiten lecho chilvovecha v'chol atzoscha yimalei, Neraneno b'shuasecha o b'shem Eloheinu nidgel, Yimale Adinoi kol mishalisecha, Ato yodaiti ki Yoshia Adinoi mishichei, Yaneo mishmei kodshe bigvureis yesha yeminei. אלה ברכב ואלה בסוסים, ואנחנו בשם אדינוי אלוהינו נזכיר. המה קורו ונפלו, ואנחנו קמנו ונסיידוד. אדינוי הושיע, המלך יעננו וימכרנו. יענך אדינוי באמצעו ישגבך השם אלוהי ינקב, יהי רצון שיחושב כי כיוונו כל הכוונה שבזה. יחי אדוננו מורנו ורבנו, המלך המשיח לעולם ועד. Take the tzedakah pushka, and we'll put the contributions to the Mishkan that we were talking and learning about previously. They were giving a machatzis shekel. So in continuation to this, we'll give a machatzis shekel, or everyone can give the coin that they would like to give, that they have handy. Kedei l'tzedakah shemekareves hageula. Yechi Adonenu Morenu Verabenu Melech HaMoshiach Chai V'Kayam Le'olam Voed.